Hello everybody, it's Deb and I'm back and I'm ready to begin making our mixed media journal. Hopefully you've got yours, and if you haven't, that's okay. Use what you have. I also wanted to say that even if you've been doing mixed media for a long time, please feel welcome to join or come along and join us with making this. And we're not just stopping when the journal's made. I'm continuing with this, like to create backgrounds, and we're going to do some collage, and so it's going to be a really fun process, I think. I've kind of prepped my tools. A bone folder, after thinking about it, because I'm not really folding paper, it's already folded. We don't need that. I did cut a piece of cardstock. I like to cut them at least 2 inches, and we're going to use this as a template, so it needs to be as high as our signatures. Okay, so our signatures are exactly 8.5 inches. The book is 8.5 inches tall. This needs to be 8.5 inches tall. It doesn't matter if you do it 2 inches wide, 4 inches wide, that doesn't matter. What we're going to do right now, I'm getting my scoreboard out, and I guess if you need to score anything, you're going to need something to score with. I'm using my bone folder, so I'm going to, whatever width you've cut this to, and it doesn't matter, like I said, as long as it's the same height as what you're using. Now, not all of you are using what I have. That's great. Just make sure the strip you cut is as tall as your journal signatures are. Okay? And we're going to score that in half. And I'm just going to fold it over. And this is going to be now our template that we use to make our holes. Okay? I make a template for every journal that I ever make, just because it's a good thing. Now we're going to take our template, stick it in the middle. Now, what I've done is, like I said in the last video, I'm putting 2 signatures, or 2 of these booklets together. That creates 1 signature. And I'm going to put this in the middle, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit now, just so that you can see what I'm doing. I gotta find some marking tool here. This will work. I've just got you can use a pencil, it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do now, this isn't the greatest of rulers, I don't know what I did with my other one. I'm going to put my ruler down close to where the fold is. Not on the fold, just close to it. And because it's at 8.5 inches, so in other words, 8.5 divided by 2 would be 4 1/4. So I'm going to mark my first hole at 4 1/4, which is right there. And what I like to do is come at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches from the top. I'm going to do mine at 1.5 inches. Excuse me. And just to make it simple, I'm just going to move this down a little bit to 1.5 inches from the bottom. And at this point, I'm going to get rid of that. I want to use a pencil, and I like to write on the template top and in pencil. Well, it's not going to want to write on here, but just so that you can see it. I mean, it's really faint. I've put it right there, but you probably can't even see it. Anyways, just so you don't get mixed up. But if you look at, if yours has a design like mine, you'll know this is the top, because that's where you can read the writing. Okay? So, at this point, we've got the top here. Here's the top. I'm putting it in here. I do have a cradle, but not everybody has one to set this in to poke holes, but not everybody has one, so I want to show you how you can do it without one. So I am just going to take my pokey tool and just get it started. And then I'm turning it, and I'm holding my page tight, and I'm pushing through. Can you see that? Okay, that's gone right through. And I'm going to do it again to the middle hole. And I'm going to do it again to the bottom hole. Okay, so this one has holes in it now. Yeah. So I'm going to put that over there. Now we're doing the next one in the same way. I have two together, and we could have done more, but for this exercise, or for this series of videos that I'm doing, I thought 4 signatures would be great. So I'm going to start again, do the same thing, and just push straight through. And again, holding the template. Now if you aren't comfortable holding that template, clamp it down with a small clamp. I got my middle hole done. Now I've got the last hole done. So we've now got 2 signatures done. Now I'm moving on to signature 3, which has, again, like I say, 2 top to top. Just in case they're not exactly right, it makes it a little bit easier to stitch if you use the template in the same order as when you started and not flipping it around. You won't make a mistake. That's why I mark it. So that one's done. This is our last one now. So I'm on the top. Here's the top. Putting this in, holding it tight, getting in there, holding this tight, and just pushing till you're through. Okay? Still holding tight, pushing till it's through. Again, holding tight till it's through. So, now we're done. This template, we don't really need it anymore, because what I have and what I prepared was an Idahoan box. I was really stuck for cereal boxes, so I had to take our scalloped potatoes out of here and mark the directions and everything on the packaging. And what I did is I cut the covers for our book a 1/4 of an inch bigger than all the way around it. So it's a 1/4 of an inch taller and a 1/4 of an inch wider. So this measures now, see our book measures, I don't want to confuse you. Our book measures, I just say 6 inches because it's 1/8 of an inch shy of 6 inches. I'm saying our book measures 6 by 8.5. So if we're adding a 1/4 of an inch onto 6, that would be 6 1/4. And 8.5, adding a 1/4 of an inch onto that, puts that at 8 3/4. Okay, so that's what I've turn it this way so you can see. I have cut it at, well, it's darn close to 8 3/4. I did it on my cutter. Now, I find most cutters are not exact. Really. I mean, you'd hope that they'd be, but they're not. And because we're making a cover, and nothing is really that important. I mean, really. It'll all work out in the end. And this is at 6 1/4. So I have 2 front and back, one for the front, one for the back, ready to go. And for the spine, I kind of like to have a little bit of room. Like, I don't know if you can really see that. There is, maybe if I can hold these up, and it's kind of hard. If I hold it like this, you can kind of see that I've left room in the spine, because these will grow some. Okay, because you're adding gesso, we're going to paint, we're going to collage, you know, it's going to grow in the spine. So you want to make sure that there is enough room in that spine. Now, I have decided I'm not going to confuse you. Right now, all we're going to do is stitch our signatures together. And what I chose after all that thinking was seam binding. I've got seam binding. I figured, what the heck, I may as well use it. So whatever you have, whether it's string, anything, whatever you're using, just take it and measure that 3 times. Okay, and I'm going to trim it right there. So, I've got a needle here, and I'm going to try and thread this into this needle. I'm hoping that the eye is big enough. Yeah, it is. So, no problem. So, I'm going to put my books aside. We're going to start sewing now. So I like to start if you want things hanging on the outside of your journal, which we don't because we're binding it. So, but if you're not going to put a cover on it, and you don't have to put a cereal box cover on this. Really, you don't have to. And that could be simpler for you. And if you want your ribbon hanging out so that you can add charms or whatever kind of stuff, that's up to you. But if you're following me, this is going to be put into a cereal box type binding, okay? So I am going to start in the middle, on the inside, and I'm going to come through. I'm going to hold the tail back, like hold the tail back, and then I'm going to go through the top. And it might be tight pulling through, especially if you're using ribbon like I am. Then I'm going to bypass that middle one. I'm going to come to the bottom and go out. I'm coming out, see? And I'm pulling it tight. And I'm going to go, I want to pull my ribbon kind of out of the way in the middle. And I'm going to go back up in the middle. I don't want to catch any ribbons though, okay? And it can be tight. Just keep wiggling until you get it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim this off, and I'm going to tie it off. And you're all probably wondering, what? You haven't done the other signatures. Well, I'm going to join the other signatures after. I am going to trim this down. That will at one point be gessoed over. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. See? So I'm moving on to the next one. And again, I'm taking my ribbon and I'm doing approximately 3 times. So we're going to thread, and because you've seen me do it once, I may, at this point, fast forward. Unless, well, maybe I'll do 2, okay? And then I'm going to fast forward through the rest. So I'm going from the middle out. I'm going from the middle out. If I can, there we go. Out. And it's tight. Make sure you hold the tail back. And I'm going up through the top, coming into the middle, if I can get it. Just keep wiggling, wiggle, wiggle, and pull, hanging on to this tail, because you could pull it right through and have to start again. So I want to get that out of the way. I'm coming to the bottom one now. I'm hoping I'm in frame. Coming to the bottom. Yep. And sometimes it's tough. Pulling this out of the way. I want to pull that towards the top now. Maybe I'll even hold it. Okay, because we're coming back through the same hole that that ribbon is in the center. From the outside, coming in. Make sure you don't snag any of your other stitches, whether you're using yarn, other thread, doesn't matter what it is. Just don't catch that, because then you won't be able to tie it off well. Oh my goodness. This is a tight one. There we go. This is my end. Oh, hang on. Oh no, I'm good, I think. Just have to figure out which of these is... Maybe I caught my own thread, see? I might have... Let me pull it back and just check. Doesn't seem like it. So I'm going to play around. One of these is going to pull out. Oh, is that it? There we go. We got it. I got worried. I thought I caught my thread, because that's what happens. It'll give you all a hard time. Trust me. So I'm pulling tight, pulling out to the outside of the book. Okay, making the outside tight. And I want to take this off now. Oh, I see, I'm caught in here. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Because we're done, I can cut this. But if this happens to you, you might have to pull everything out. And I can't seem to get that. So I'm going to give myself some room here. Pull it off. There. Okay. I'll do this again. I want to just double check. That's pretty tight. I'm going to tie this off. Over left, right over left, left over right is basically what I do, which is a double knot. I always forget what that's called. Still, I forget what that's called. So I'm trimming these close, but really not super close, and it really doesn't matter. So that is signature number 2 done. So at this point, I'm probably going to fast forward, because you've seen it twice now. You don't need to see me do it 2 more times. Or, you know what? I'm going to finish up and I will come back. Okay? Okay, I'm back, and my whole book, or each signature, has been stitched. Now you need to join these somehow. Let me go out a bit. Yes, we need to join them together. So there's a number of ways we could do this, but my thinking is I'm going to use the same thread. You use the same thread as what you've been using. This is my first signature. I'm starting at the bottom. I'm going to come through that bottom thread. See? I'm just going to come through underneath it. Like not through it, but under it. And all I'm going to do is just tie it. One tie. That's all you need. Okay? And then we're going to add the second one. Pretty much the same way. Go underneath the thread or the ribbon. And I'm going to tie it to the tie that's left. I should have said leave a tie. I'm going to tie it leave a tie so that you can tie all 4 signatures within the same. Okay? Now that one's been joined. Make sure that they're lined up. Okay? I'm getting the third one now. And I find that this is the easiest way. I didn't want to make it hard for you. Just go under your thread, lay it down, and we're going to tie it with the first tail again. And by doing this, we're joining them. We've got one more to go. Okay, so I'm bringing the fourth one, and I'm going underneath the thread. Okay, I'm going to make sure that they're straight and even, lay them down, and I'm going to just tie one knot. Okay, and if you feel like, oh my gosh, that could come apart, let's tie 2 knots. 2 knots, let's make sure. okay? That way I'm secure, you're secure. Now they're secured at the bottom, okay? I'm just going to trim off that excess, and these are now joined at the bottom. And when you open the signature, yes, you're going to have a space, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It gives this expansion and this expansion, because if you're adding collage or whatever, these get bigger. So let's do that again now to the center. Okay, so I'm going to get a little more thread, or ribbon, or you know, whatever you're using. You don't really need a really long piece to do this. So I'm going to start again in the middle, or in the front. On the front cover, I'm going underneath the ribbon or your thread. Keep a tail back because you're going to need it. We're going to tie that, and you can use your needle to come through. Sometimes I'm all fingers, sorry guys. So that one is tied. Keeping them even, I'm going to go underneath the second thread. I say thread, mine is ribbon, but it doesn't really matter. Keep that tail back and lay it down, make sure that they're reasonably straight, and we're going to tie that off. This is just another way of joining these, and you'll see why when I go to do the binding that I'm doing it this way. So under the thread on the third signature, I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to tie it again. Just one time. Snug. Do it snug. Don't be afraid to pull tight. And I'm on the last one now in the middle, going underneath. I'm going to lay it back down. They're looking good, and I'm just going to use my needle and pull through. And make sure that they're straight. I'm taking my needle off now. And sometimes they knot up on you. Taking it off. And I'm going to tie a knot, because we did that on the last one. So I've just tied a knot. Okay? And I'm going to trim off the excess, because we don't need that. And we're going to do the same thing to the top. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of thread here, or ribbon, or like I say, whatever you're using. And I don't need that big of a piece, so I'll just take that much. Now we're working at the top of our journal. I'm going underneath the thread. This might be a little tighter for you now because, you know, we're tying off, right? So I'm under the thread, and I'm going to leave a tail somewhat so that I can tie it. And I'm coming to the next one. I'm going underneath the thread. I'm laying it down, and now I'm going to tie again. Now that's two more, and our signatures will be together. Now it is getting a little tighter. You'll notice that even with your if you're using small thread. I've got to lay this down and do my tie. I'm tying it off, keeping that back, and we're still lined up. And I'm going into the last one now. Going underneath the thread, laying it down, and I'm going to tie it off. And I'm going to put I'm going to knot it because that's the end. Cut off the excess, just leaving a little bit, and our journal is now bound. See? It doesn't look... You can bind them in exactly this way if you want, and leave, you know, string hanging and not bind, like put a cover on it. But I wanted to do a cover so that you had an option. So this, I'm going to say right up front that, you know, I will be gluing the front page to my front cover and the back page to the back cover.